What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan Grubb here with Extreme.Outdoorsmen. If you guys are new here to the channel, I really appreciate you guys stopping by the channel and watching my videos. That is super cool. Make sure to subscribe and also go smash that thumbs up button over here in the corner. I would really appreciate it. And also popping up on the screen right here is the comment of the day. And if you guys want to be featured in my next video and be the comment of the day, make sure to drop a comment below. Anything you want me to read, I go down and read all those comments, and whichever comment I like the best, or it could be funny or knowledgeable or anything you guys want me to read, just let me know. Just drop a comment below, video ideas or anything, and I'll pick my favorite comment to be featured in the next video. I think you guys are liking that. I've had a few guys message me. But in today's video, guys, I am actually going to be covering my 5 favorite ways to rig a Senko, or whatever you want to call it. People call them different names. You can even call it a stick bait. So there's a bunch of different names for this bait. There's no really right or wrong way to call them, but I like to say Senko. And there's so many different ways you can rig a Senko. In this video, this is not the only 5 ways that you can rig it. If you go to other videos on YouTube, there's a bunch of different styles. But in this video, these are my 5 favorite ways. And if you guys want to learn some knowledge today, stick around for today's video. And stay tuned, guys, if you guys want to learn my 5 favorite ways to rig a Senko. So guys, the first way that I'm going to show you how to rig a Senko today is the good old Texas rig. And this is actually one of the most common or one of the most famous ways to rig a Senko or any stick bait out there. So first of all, you're going to want to get a Senko and just a regular standard hook. I think this is a 3/0. And to start it off, I'm not 100% sure if you can see that good. I have that pink one and then a green one right here. So first of all, I'm going to get closer to the camera. You're going to want to grab your hook and your Senko. And you're just going to try to get your hook in the very middle of that Senko. And you're just going to go down like that and then poke it out just like that. Watch me really close how I do this, guys. So you're going to slide that up and twist the hook around just like that. So now that knot right there is going to be hiding down in your plastic. And then you're just going to want to measure it with your thumb right there, just like that, and just poke it right in the side, just like that. And with these Senkos, you're going to want to try to get your bait as straight as possible so it looks way more natural. Some guys will rig them like this. I've seen a few people do it like this, and it's just funny to me because you want to make sure that your plastic is as straight as possible, and that's going to guarantee you to catch way more fish. So right there, you can see that it is not weighted. You can either fish the Texas rig weightless, or also I have a weight up here. You can slide this down, and there we go. You can fish it weighted just like that. And this is a great way to catch big fish. You can work these Texas rigs all around deep cover. You can cast them around docks, and I can guarantee you that this way is going to catch you some big largemouth bass wherever you live all around the United States. The Texas rig is one of the most famous ways, just like that, guys. So like I said, you can fish it weightless or weighted, and it's just a great way to catch big bass. So the second way that I'm going to show you today is called the Carolina rig. And right now, I have it set up as a Texas rig, and all you have to do is slide your weight up the line. But right now, as you can see, I have the weight right here and 2 bobber stoppers on either side of the weight. Just grab it and slide it up the line just like that. And with your weight being up there and 2 bobber stoppers, that is going to keep your weight right there and not allow it to slide back and forth down your line. So with your weight being up here, when you're casting it out, it is allowing your line and your bait to free swing all around and getting a ton of action on the bait rather than just dragging along bottom like a Texas rig. So this gives the bait a ton of action, like I said, and it'll catch a ton of fish down deep. So with a Carolina rig, you can also use swivels and instead of these bobber stoppers, but in my opinion, the bobber stoppers are just an easy way. So see how I do that right there? Now it's a Texas rig, or you can slide it down or up the line, just like that. And voila, it's a Carolina rig. So it's super easy, guys. That is an awesome way to catch big bass, like I said, down deep. So the third way that I'm going to show you today how to rig this Senko is called the Wacky Rig. And guys, that is honestly one of my favorite ways to rig a Senko. When I was growing up, my dad showed me the Wacky Rig and I just fell in love with it. That was the only lure and the only way that I would rig the Senko growing up as a kid. And it just caught so many bass, and every time you go out, it's just like non-stop action on the Wacky Rig. So it is a super good way to rig the Senko, and it gives it a different presentation to the fish. So I'm gonna show you guys how to rig the Wacky Rig. So first of all, guys, you're gonna wanna find a hook and a Senko. This is actually kind of a bigger hook. For a Senko, you usually wanna use like little hooks, maybe half the size of this, but I'm just doing this for the video so you guys can see it. But right now, you wanna try to find the center of the Senko. A lot of people like to use O-rings, and I couldn't find any O-rings right now in my boat. I probably need to go get some more O-rings, but what I do to find the center, you wanna just bend that Senko in half, just like that. Just like that, if you can see that. And right there, you're gonna find the center of the Senko. And to rig the Wacky Rig, you just wanna grab your hook and put it right through the center, just like that. If you guys can see that, it looks super good right there. And as you're casting this out, it's just gonna give the bait such a different perspective to the fish. Like even right there, I'm bouncing it, and check that out. There's a ton of action on that Senko. And as you're working it in, just jigging it along bottom, check out that action, guys. It's just phenomenal. As you're bouncing it, check that out. Super good action. That is gonna attract a big largemouth bass to your bait. So I really recommend this way. This is one of my favorite ways to rig a Senko. Usually what I would do, like I said, put an O-ring, and that is just a way so you don't use so many Senkos and don't lose a ton to fish. This is a great technique. Let's say you don't have a boat and you're just casting offshore, pond hopping to a bunch of different lakes. This is a really good way to catch a ton of fish. Fish love these Wacky Rigs like there. I'll also show you with this pink one right here. I'll try to find the center right there. Check that out, guys. So I didn't find the center right there. Let's bend it just like that. And about right there is the center. So check that out right there. You can even see that as you're jigging it in, it's just gonna give a ton of action to that bait. So that is the third way on how to rig a Senko, and I really recommend this way. So stay tuned for tip 4. So the fourth way that I'm gonna show you today catches huge bass. I've caught some huge bass throughout the years on this wobble head right here. As you can see, it looks just like kind of like a football head, this little ball right here, and it is loose on the hook. See that right there? So it's gonna give the Senko a ton of action. You're gonna wanna grab a Senko right here and just rig it just like you would a Texas rig. So we are gonna do that right now. Just get it all the way up the bait. If you remember how to rig the Texas rig, just make sure you want to try to get it as straight as possible, just like that. If you guys can see that right there. And when you cast this bait out, I don't know if you guys can see it down here, but it is going to hit the bottom and just float just like that. When it's sitting there, you can see how the bait is just going to wobble back and forth, giving it just a ton of action and just attract a ton of fish to this bait. So this is a super good way to catch big fish all around the United States. So when you're throwing this out, you can pretty much throw it wherever you want and it's gonna catch fish, but I like to throw these around thick weeds or wherever I can find stumps. It's just gonna get down there and just sit at the bottom and just have so much action on the bait. I just love this rig. It catches a ton of big fish especially when you're in tournaments. This is one of my go-to rigs right here. So check it out, guys. And that is just a phenomenal way to rig the Senko. And if you guys forgot, this is called the Wobble head. So stay tuned for tip 5. So the 5th way that I'm going to talk to you guys today of how to rig a Senko is maybe one of my favorite ways to rig the Senko. I know I've said it the past couple times, but I have caught a ton of fish using this technique, and it is actually called the drop shot. And you're going to want to use these little hooks right here, and also go buy yourself these weights right here. So I'm going to rig up the line real quick and show you how to use the drop shot. So guys, I just rigged this up, and if you guys can see this right here, the weight is on the end up here, and then you're going to want to have this little hook down here. There's a bunch of different ways you can rig up the drop shot, but for video purposes, I went and grabbed this weight right here. It's a drop shot weight, and I just put it up maybe like 1.5 feet up the line, and depending on where you want your weight right here, you can slide it all the way up almost to where the lure is, depending on how high you want it off the bottom, because it's just gonna sit just like that and just float above right there and just drag. If you're dragging along bottom, it's just gonna drag just like that. So I'll show you real quick how to rig the drop shot. So you're gonna want to find a Senko and get this little tiny hook. There's a bunch of different ways you can rig this, but first of all, I'm going to show you just this regular drop shot. So right there, you're going to want to take this hook and just go right through the top of the Senko, just like that. If I can do it, just like that. And if you guys can see that right there, just through the top, not too far, and it is just going to give that bait a ton of action going through the water. This is a great bait, or a great technique if you are bed fishing. This bait catches a ton of fish on beds. It's caught me a ton of big females throughout the years, and last year I used this technique and it just caught me so many bass. I had the drop shot tied on almost every time I went out to the lake, so I am super confident with this drop shot. So you can either put it like that, like I said, or you can either wacky rig it. If you remember the wacky rig style, you can find the center of the Senko and just put it right there. And this is also another way you can rig the drop shot, just like that. So when your weight is at the bottom, it's just gonna float just like that and just make a ton of action. Like I said with the wacky rig, there's a ton of action on that Senko. So this is a super good way to catch big fish. And overall, guys, these are all awesome ways to rig a Senko. I am just showing you a bunch of different ways how to rig the Senko. I use all these techniques while I'm out on the boat, depending on the cover of where I'm fishing, depending on the lake. And these are just awesome ways to rig any worm or any plastic pretty much. So you can use these techniques for different plastics like crawdads or swim baits or flukes. So it's just 5 great ways to rig plastics. So guys, that is going to end today's video. I hope you learned a little knowledge about how to rig a Senko, and drop a comment below what you thought about this video. I haven't really done a ton of how-to videos on my channel, so I am gonna start making more videos throughout the week on how to rig certain baits. So hopefully you guys liked today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys in the next video. We are actually headed down to Gulf Shores. Me and my girlfriend are actually headed down there tomorrow. So when this video posts, I am actually gonna be on the road, headed down there. So wish me a safe travels down there. It's around like 16 hours down there, and hopefully we have a great time down there. It's my girlfriend's spring break, but I am actually going to be bringing some rods too and fishing offshore for possibly sharks or redfish or whatever we catch offshore. It's just going to be a great time enjoying our vacation down on the beach. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.